This is a true story about the most haunted place I have ever encountered. This story takes place in a remote village where a mansion stood abandoned for decades. Hollowbrook Manor was a place of legend, a place everyone in the village whispered about, but no one dared to enter. Years ago, Hollowbrook Manor was home to the Hollowbrook family, who mysteriously disappeared one by one until none were left. The house had a dark history of untimely deaths and inexplicable events. No one wanted to live there, and over time, the manor fell into disrepair. Yet the stories of ghostly apparitions, eerie sounds, and strange occurrences never stopped. One day, a group of 4 friends, Sarah, Mike, Jessica, and Tom, decided to investigate the manor. They had heard the stories growing up and were intrigued by the mystery. They planned to spend a night in the manor, documenting their experience to see if the legends were true. They brought cameras, flashlights, and a Ouija board, thinking it would be a fun and thrilling adventure. As the sun set, the friends arrived at Hollowbrook Manor. The house looked like it came straight out of a nightmare, with broken windows, creaky doors, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The air was thick with an unexplainable heaviness. They pushed open the front door, which groaned in protest, and stepped inside. The floorboards creaked beneath their feet, and the smell of decay filled their nostrils. They set up their cameras and began to explore the house. Almost immediately, they felt an icy chill that had nothing to do with the weather. Sarah, who was sensitive to paranormal activity, began to feel uneasy. She heard whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, and shadows moved just beyond her line of sight. The others laughed it off, attributing it to nerves and their imagination. They decided to split up to cover more ground. Mike and Jessica headed to the basement, while Sarah and Tom stayed on the main floor. The basement was dark and damp, with an old furnace and a series of strange symbols painted on the walls. As Mike and Jessica investigated, their flashlight flickered and died. They felt a sudden drop in temperature and heard a faint, ghostly wail. Jessica screamed as something cold and invisible brushed against her skin. Upstairs, Sarah and Tom decided to use the Ouija board. They lit candles and sat on the dusty floor. As they began to ask questions, the planchette moved on its own. It spelled out, "Leave," repeatedly. Tom, thinking it was Sarah playing a prank, laughed, but Sarah's face was pale with fear. She swore she wasn't moving it. The planchette then spelled out, "Help" and "Danger." The candles flickered wildly and a door slammed shut somewhere in the house. Reuniting in the living room, the friends decided to stick together. They discovered a hidden door behind a large, dusty portrait. The door led to a narrow staircase that descended into darkness. Despite their fear, curiosity drove them to explore. They descended into what seemed like a secret room. The room was filled with old books, strange artifacts, and a diary. Jessica began to read the diary aloud. It belonged to the last member of the Hollowbrook family, Eleanor. The diary detailed Eleanor's descent into madness as she spoke of an evil presence that haunted the house. She wrote about seeing figures in the mirrors, hearing voices that weren't there, and feeling an ever-present darkness. The final entry was a frantic scrawl. "It wants me. I cannot escape. Do not stay in this house. It will take you too." As Jessica read the last words, they heard footsteps above them, even though they knew they were alone in the house. The temperature dropped again and the air became suffocating. Suddenly, they felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The door to the hidden room slammed shut, trapping them inside. Desperate to escape, they tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. The lights of their flashlights flickered and then went out, plunging them into darkness. They heard whispers growing louder, turning into a cacophony of screams. Shadows moved around them, and they felt cold hands grabbing at them. Panic set in as they realized they might not make it out alive. In a last-ditch effort, Tom threw himself against the door and it finally gave way. They ran up the stairs, the shadows chasing them, and burst out of the manor. Gasping for breath, they vowed never to return. As they drove away, they looked back at the house. In the window, they saw a pale face watching them, a face twisted in a malevolent grin. The friends never spoke of that night again, but they couldn't escape the memories. They would wake up in the middle of the night, hearing whispers and seeing shadows in their homes. Hollowbrook Manor had left its mark on them, a mark that would never fade. The village continued to whisper about the house, and it remained abandoned, a monument to the horrors that lurked within. Remember, this is a true story. If you ever find yourself near Hollowbrook Manor, heed the warnings and stay away. Some mysteries are better left unsolved. If you enjoyed this chilling story, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. Leave a comment below if you've ever encountered something supernatural, and let us know what you think about Hollowbrook Manor. Stay spooky, and thanks for watching.